primary microphone. That is correct. There we go. Okay, so now we're getting that. Media, test audio. Echo, 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 echo. No echo. Doesn't sound like there's any echo. Hello, hello. I am playing with audio right now. That's what I really want to do. Audio, general settings. Let's turn. Hello, hello. We're just getting the stream started. So if you want to come up and talk about something, now is a good chance to do that. Hey, folks. We're just getting started. We can talk about just about anything, although there are some prompts up there. And you'll have to put up with me fumbling around just a bit because, well, this is like my fourth live, so I'm still getting used to some stuff. But if you guys want to come on up and have a conversation, let me know. Be more than happy to do that. Hopefully we get some folks who want to tell me why I should care about the Bible or prove that a God or gods exist. That would be nice. Been doing this for a while and still haven't gotten anybody to prove that a God exists. The atheist experience has been around for at least 2, maybe 3 decades now. No evidence on any of those shows. Or any of the other atheist shows that I've seen. So, but who knows? There may be evidence out there we just haven't considered, and maybe somebody out there hasn't. So, Gazoo, welcome. Hey, Bubbles, thanks for following. Francisco, hello. Let's see, Ken and Kruger and Kira. 313, thanks for joining. I'm still trying to figure out why some folks show up on one thing and some folks don't, and how that works. Anyway, I'll figure it out one of these days. Oh. Yeah. Nice to meet you too, Gazoo. How is your day going so far? What is today? Today Tuesday? Today is Tuesday. It's a terrible thing when you don't know what day it is. And I wish I could say it's because I've been having too much fun, but that is not the case. Okay.
So, man, how you doing?
Not too bad. How about yourself there, Clips?
Good, good. Thanks for asking. Okay, so first question is like, if there is no God, right? So it's like a genuine question. Like I'm kind of curious. So how was the first human like created?
Well, so your question is kind of goofy because you're assuming that a human was created instead of evolved, right? Instead of evolution. So the first human evolved millions of years ago. I forget how many. And that's, it's evolution. So
Why
there
doesn't
is
it?
no creator.
Why doesn't apes turn into human anymore?
Oh
Yeah,
wow,
what you mean?
your understanding of evolution is just horrifyingly bad. That's not actually what evolution says. It says that apes and humans have a common ancestor, right? And can you even define evolution for me?
What do you mean?
Can you define
What?
evolution? What is evolution?
I don't know. It's like it's like a
You don't
phase.
know. You don't know, and
I
you're
do,
trying
I
to.
do. It just I don't got the best words to explain it. You feel me? I know what it means though. Like it just I don't know. It's like evolution is like it just gets better or something. Something like it's, I guess you
No,
just
no, there's no better at all with evolution. So evolution is the change in allele frequency over time in a population. Alleles are groups of genes that control things like eye color. So all the eye colors are controlled by the allele for eye color, right? So if you have blue eyes, you have the gene for blue eyes, green eyes, all of those are the alleles. So every time someone is born, they change the frequency of eye colors in the human population. That's what evolution is. So if you're going to deny evolution, then you have to deny that genes exist.
I mean, I'm not denying evolution, but I don't think that's how that's what happened. I mean, do like I don't know, do is there like any type of evidence or something like that? You know what I'm
For
saying?
evolution,
No, there's
yes.
the first human.
Well, it depends on how you define the first human, right? Because that's not how evolution works. So, but we do have the fossil evidence all going back to that common ancestor at the very least, if
Wait,
not
hold on.
further.
So do you believe that Adam was the first human or
Nope.
not?
No, in fact, I have no.
Okay.
In fact, not only do there's scientific proof from evolution that proves that he wasn't, because we can actually tell through genetic markers in the gene sequence when a population of animals gets small enough down to 2 or 4 or 7, and we don't show any of those markers. So there's just simply no scientific way for the Adam and Eve story to actually be true.
I mean, okay. So what you say about the DNA, right?
Uh-huh.
But the DNA shows evidence shows only that they're close genetic affinity between humans and African apes. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it points at
Well,
common ancestor
we've got
further
a
back
90.
in time.
No, we've got 98% in common with chimpanzees in particular. But yes, apes and humans have a common ancestor.
Yeah, but it points to a common ancestor further back in time though. But like like the genetic data, like it allows scientists to trace the organs of modern Homo what is it called? What's the word?
Homo sapiens.
Yeah, to Africa. It wasn't it like between like 200-300 years ago.
Hundreds of years ago? No.
Two 300. I said 200-300 years ago.
No, 200 years ago would have been the 1800s, dude.
What you mean?
You said 200 years ago, right?
Two to three
For
hundred. Yeah.
Yeah, it's much longer than that. Not 200. It's actually I think it's longer than 200,000 years. But what's
You
your point?
sure?
Yeah, it's not 200 years. 200 years ago, in the United States, we had the Indian Wars going on, the expansion of Europeans throughout the continent. So we were humans by that point. Yeah, I mean that's just basic history. Have you attended a history class at least the high school level?
Yeah. Why?
Okay. So how do you get 200 years? That makes no sense. If you've actually studied history.
Wait. What do you mean by what you said about 200 years again?
You said that humans and apes had a common ancestor 200 years ago.
No. I mean, I don't think that's what I said. I said genetic data allows scientists to trace the origins of modern Homo sapiens to include sapiens to Africa between 200 to 300 years ago. I didn't say that.
Not 200, not 200 or 300 years ago. No, 200
But
or 300 years
it is
ago.
200 years ago.
No,
It
because
was.
the Homo sapiens, yes, we came out of Africa without a doubt, but it's more
Yeah.
closer to 300,000 or 400,000 years ago. So you're off by by a factor of 100,000 years.
Yeah, I said 200 to
Multiply
300.
your
That's what I said.
multiply your time scale by by 100,000 years or 100,000 years and add another 100 to it, right? Because it's not 200 years ago. It's 300,000 to 400,000 years ago is when modern humans, Homo sapiens, came about. And the genus
Right.
Homo has been around for 2.3 million years. And
Okay.
that's not
So
just genetic evidence, that's also the fossil record, right?
right. Yeah. When did the evolution happen? When the first human, like the human? Okay, you think it was a human or humans when the first like?
No, there was no first humans, right? At some point in evolution's along that line, we start to go, okay, this is more Homo sapien like, this is less Homo sapien like, but there's no cutoff of exactly when that happens because that's not how evolution works. Right, it's humans imposing this concept of species and it's and what's a Homo sapien and what isn't on what we see in nature. It is not nature imposing anything on us, so that's not how it works.
Hmm.
Yeah,
No.
because remember the definition of evolution, right? It's a change in allele frequencies over time in a population. That means it's small changes across time within a particular population. So there is nothing about evolution that says that a progenitor to Homo sapiens all of a sudden gave birth to Homo sapiens. That's not the way evolution works at all.
Right. I mean, it's like it just I don't know. I just don't understand why it didn't work. It just didn't kept going that way, and we had
What
to
do you mean
reproduce
kept going that way?
like just evolve in humans to I mean from I guess apes or whatever. So you feel me? We had to reproduce to.
Humans are still evolving. We have changes in allele frequency over time. Like I said, every time a baby is born, the percentage, the ratio of blue eyes or whatever eye color they're born with changes. That frequency changes. So we're still evolving
No,
today. Yeah.
I mean that's basically on genetics though. I mean blue
Yeah.
eyes if it,
Yeah.
blue
That's
eyes
the
are I
entire point,
mean
right? An allele is the group of genes that give us blue eyes or green eyes and all of our eye colors, right? That whole group of genes that give us eye color is called an allele. We may have a particular gene for a particular color of eye. And every time a baby is born, the frequency of whatever eye color they have is increased by 1. That's how evolution works. Thanks, buddy, for sharing the live. Appreciate it. Would appreciate other people doing that too. Does that make sense?
I don't know. I don't know, man. Just oh, I wish like hey yo, I wish we had like video evidence like actually what happened. To be
But we
honest.
do. I mean, that's what the fossil record shows, right? The fossil records, you can go look at the fossil record and see just how subtle the changes are in some cases. And you can see where paleontologists and
Yeah,
other people who study this stuff are having, have arguments. Does this actually belong in genus Homo or not? Or and all
yeah.
kinds
So
of stuff
what
just
did it say?
based on how.
The fossil record, right? It provides consistent evidence of systematic change through the time, right?
Yes.
Or like this descent with modification,
Yep.
and it says
No, it's not descent with
numerous.
no. Descent with modification is kind of a very, I wouldn't say it's a dead idea, but the correct way to say it is the change in allele frequency over time in a population.
Isn't it the same thing
Because,
though?
yeah, well, so remember, Darwin is dead. He died over 200 years ago. And he got a lot of things right, and he is definitely the father of modern biology and the father of biological evolution, without a doubt. But he also got a lot of stuff wrong, and he didn't understand a lot of stuff. Like, he didn't even know genes existed. We didn't get proof genes existed until later in his life.
Exactly.
Yeah,
How are you supposed to
so
know that though? Like we.
because he observed nature, and that's what his entire book was about, was observing nature. And that's all you really have to do is look
I mean,
at nature.
I mean, could it be possible? Like, if I take a hot take, like, what if genes didn't exist that time?
What do you mean? If genes didn't exist, then we wouldn't have evolution.
I
That's the whole. I mean,
Uh,
remember the definition of evolution is
nah,
the change in
that's
allele
my point.
frequency
Like
over time.
that's why I say. I mean,
What?
because I believe Adam was the first human. So
Based on what? What's
based
your
on
evidence?
based on religious books, right?
Why do I care what the Bible says?
I mean, otherwise you just gotta like prove the evolution thing that you said, the fossil record,
Yeah,
like you said.
there's tons of proof for evolution. It's one of the,
I mean, I know,
every
but I don't think the
it
first
comes from
human
the
though.
entire field of biology. Everything in biology it proves that evolution exists. I mean, you've got journals, multiple journals dating back to the late 1800s, all the way up through today, with all of the evidence you need for it. And if you're going to, like I said, if you're going to deny evolution, you have to deny that genes exist. It's the only way you can deny evolution. If you agree with genes exist, then you agree that evolution exists.
Yeah. Evolution obviously exists, but it just. Mm-mm.
Then what are we
So
arguing about? If we agree that evolution exists, what are we arguing about?
no, I do. I mean, obviously, evolution exists in many things. It's just not about the first human. But I don't think that that's how the
But
first
why,
the human.
so why doesn't evolution exist for the first? If you believe that genes exist, then how do you figure that? How do you
Okay,
explain the
all
fossil
right.
record?
Look. Mammals, right? They never appeared before reptiles, nor human fossils with dinosaur remains. Did they?
No, there are no humans with dinosaur remains. That is correct.
Yeah. And I mean that just like a I don't know.
You don't know. I don't know what your point is, because you're not saying anything that disproves evolution at all. And saying that some book you think is sacred and holy says something doesn't buy you anything, right? It doesn't get you to evolution is true or false, right? It doesn't get you anywhere. It doesn't tell you anything about reality. So, what's your evidence that evolution is false? And what's your evidence outside of the Bible, which has all kinds of crazy stuff in it that isn't true? Why should I believe the Bible?
I mean,
You don't have any reason, do you? What's your reason for believing the Bible? Why do you think the Bible is true? Why do you believe it?
I don't know because I'm not an atheist. I guess.
Because you're not atheist, you guess. So why do you believe God exists?
Like I said, because of the first human thing.
Because of the first human thing. But you don't
Yeah.
know. But you don't have any reason to believe that there was, in fact, a first human. That the Adam and Eve story is even remotely true, right? And since evolution is true, we know that the Adam and Eve story can't be true.
I don't. I mean, no, because I don't know, bro. It just doesn't make sense that like apes turned into human or whatever, like whatever happened, and it's just like
No. So you
it doesn't happen
evolve. They
anymore
didn't
with
turn
apes.
into, and it's a common
Evolved, I guess.
ancestor.
Yeah, they evolved into humans, but they don't evolve anymore. They literally die as apes. Like I don't know as of right now, or like any.
But they are still evolving.
What do you mean? How are they evolving?
Everybody, if you have
I'm talking
genes
about
and
apes.
you're
How
living,
are
your
apes evolving?
population is still yes. The ape populations are still evolving. All of the ape
Po-
species are still
population and
evolving.
no, evolving how? Like I'm just asking, like how? What do you mean by evolving?
They're
Like how
adapting.
are they
They're
evolving?
adapting to their environment as their environment changes. That's how it works. If there's no environmental pressure to change, then species don't change. That's why you have sharks being
How
basically
did
the
they
same for millions of
how did they
years.
start talking? How did they start talking? And the apes that they're evolving, that you're saying evolving to the evolving to the surroundings or whatever. They don't speak. I don't know how they start talking.
They do speak. They speak to each other. They don't speak a human language, but they
But I thought they
definitely have
evolved to human
conversations
then.
with each other. Meerkats have
Yeah, I mean
conversations
that's the
with each
everybody
other.
does that.
Hmm?
Every single animal has their own language. They talk to each other, bro. I
Yeah,
guess.
yeah. It's just making noises. That's all we're doing. That's all language is making noises.
No, nah, come on, like yeah, nah,
Yeah,
like you
yeah.
know, nah, you trying to play, no, you know what I mean, like actual speak and like human language. That's what I'm trying to say. Why
So
don't
what?
ape evolve? Since you're saying they're evolving and adapting to their surroundings, so why don't they speak so
Meerkats
humans anymore?
describe humans, and
Who
they're meerkats. Yeah,
describe humans?
can have a vocalization, series of vocalizations that'll describe a human. Yes. So it's just
But I mean,
noises.
we talk about apes though. We talk about apes. We're not talking about
It doesn't matter if we're
America.
talking about apes. Apes can do the same thing,
No, they
right?
can't speak like humans. They
We've
can't.
taught apes sign language, right? Apes can communicate.
I mean, dogs know sign languages too. Like, come on, a lot of
Yeah,
animals do. A lot of pets do.
yeah, and that's all communication is. Now we may do it better than most people or than most animals, but that doesn't make us anything more than animals just because we do it better. I mean, beavers
What do you mean?
chop
I
down
mean,
trees better than we do
animals don't run the
without.
society. Animals don't run the country. We do, right?
Well, animals do have a society. Absolutely, they
No,
have
I
a
mean
society.
we run them. They're under our control.
No, I
What?
tell you what. I tell you
Animals
what.
are
You
not
go.
under human control.
You walk into a lion enclosure and see how that goes for you.
I mean, so okay, okay. Hold on, I got a question. So you telling me if all right, let's say every single animals versus all the humans in the world, who's winning?
What do you mean by winning?
Like a war. Let's say they just charge because we got weapons. They don't. They don't know how to make weapons. They don't got the brain too.
So we use tools better than they do. So what?
So why don't? That's my point. Like why don't apes do that anymore? Like since they
No, what do
evolved,
you
you
mean
saying,
anymore?
and then you're saying they're
They've never
adapting.
used. In fact, tool use is one of the things that exemplifies the Homo genus from the other ape species. Is that we use tools more than almost all of them. So that's just something that has happened as part of our evolution. Same with communication, right? We communicate and use weapons and
No,
use
we just
tools. We
don't use
do it
weapons.
better
We
than
do a
they
lot
do,
of
and
things.
so we survive better because we do that, right?
I mean, it's a lot of things we do better than them.
So
Obviously a
yeah,
lot of
and that
like
happens
hundred
because
of
of
things.
evolution.
That's my point, bro. Like you know what I'm trying. You know what I'm saying. You're just acting like you don't know
No,
what
I
I'm
have no
talking about.
idea what you're saying because your ability to communicate doesn't seem to be real good, right? I mean,
No,
you're not
no.
able to express yourself very well. You don't know why you believe in God. You don't know why evolution isn't true, except that you happen to believe some book for some reason, right? So
Hey man,
you
I
haven't
guess,
done
bro.
anything
I
to
just do what you
disprove
believe.
evolution. The fact that we communicate better doesn't disprove evolution. The fact that we use tools better than any other animal species doesn't disprove evolution. In fact, it does just the opposite. It proves evolution, right? The human's ability to band together and work together is second to none, and that's evolution right there. Because cooperation makes
Oh,
survival
okay,
easier.
okay. You know what, bro? Let's start from the start again. How was the first humans created? From what? Apes, right?
The humans were never
Evolved. They
created.
evolved.
Yes, they
They
evolved. So
evolved.
you keep trying to sneak that created word in, it doesn't work, right?
Okay, look.
Yes,
So
and they evolved.
apes
Yes,
evolved to human
no,
beings.
no.
Apes evolved to
Humans
human
and
beings.
apes have a common ancestor. We evolved from the common ancestor. Yes.
And then what happened? They evolved, and then they started speaking. Their ancestors started speaking, right?
No.
Is that what you
As far as we
So
can
what are you
tell,
saying?
animals using vocalizations to communicate predates even that common ancestor.
And then they started having all type of races: white, black, Asian.
No,
Yeah.
races have nothing to do with species.
So how that happened? All these different
Races
races.
are a social construct based on skin color. That's all
No,
it
I'm
is.
saying from the apes, like how it happened in evolution, how that happened.
There's different skin colors. Who cares? And we're all still human.
No,
We're still
in
Homo sapiens.
evolution,
We're
because
still the same
bro,
species. Race is nothing more than a social construct.
yeah, all the apes are the same species, right? We both agree on it.
No, humans are all the same species. Apes and humans are different species.
Yo, I you know what? Never mind, bro. I'm just gonna nah, you got it.
So, okay. All right. That was fun. I had some other folks who wanted to come up, and I'm trying to figure out where that box went. That shows me who wanted to come up. Oh, Shugaz, thank you for the roses. I appreciate that. And I appreciate you guys. Knowledge is discovered within the design laws of God. Right. How do you know they're designed? I wonder if... yes, that is the one. Yeah, if you're going to say that, come on up and let's talk about whether or not things are designed and how we know things are designed. That's a fun conversation. Distinct is by design. I have no idea what you mean by that. So first, something, do you want to come up or do you want me to invite you? I don't know. First, something, fish can't lay human eggs. Humans don't lay eggs, but yes, you are correct. I don't know what that means. I don't know why anybody cares. I'd rather buy a watch than the watchmaker fallacy. And think the same way. I have no idea. First, once you come on up, let's have a conversation. So I have some idea what you're talking about. You came for the persecution. Nobody's persecuting Christians, at least not in the U.S. I know you guys, I know you Christians like your persecution porn, but it doesn't happen in the U.S. So, but you can come up and talk about it if you want, Joshua. More than happy to. Tap your screen and share the live like Eve did her family. Yeah. I have, again, for something, I have no idea what still thinking there's no God proves evolution don't exist. I have no idea what that means. The argument from ocean, yes. People are afraid of infinite regress. I have no idea why. Yeah, Jesus rebuked the enemy. Who cares what? Yeah, if you guys are doing science and using AI to do some science research, I highly recommend consensus.ai. And that one is actually trained entirely on published papers in peer-reviewed journals. And so you're not going to get a lot of nonsense out of it. You will still get some hallucinations, but not nearly as bad as you'll get out of ChatGPT or some of these other AIs that are trained entirely on just the internet. So, but yeah, I don't care what Grok says. Grok has proven to be been proven to, well, most AIs have issues. Reddit tier atheist. I have no idea what you're talking about. Oh, you're talking about the argument for motion. Well, if you have a different version of the argument of motion than the one I'm thinking about, come on up. Because I think you're talking about the Aquinas. Because everything is moved by another. The chain of movers cannot go on infinitely, and there must be a first unmoved mover. Yeah, so basically, unquestionable Calvin, that's not up to me. I would love to do atheist experience with you, but that's up to the folks who schedule things. So, Travis Flores, I don't know what I said I didn't care about, or why I would start to laugh, but anyway. Oh, in talking about the prompt, who cares what the Bible says? That's just a prompt. So, but I'm so nobody wants to come up and have a conversation. They just want to chat in chat. That's fine. We can do that too. What do you see busting out? Scrolling up. Yeah. I deliberately stay out of all of that. I am just a host, and that's the way I like it. Just like I'm kind of doing here. Yeah, there's got to be a Christian out there. Where's the guy who's claiming who's into the persecution, Christian persecution porn? Who wants some of that? We can do that. The black wild swans. I would go feed them. Swans can get kind of nasty. It's obvious it's not even obvious to Christians what the Bible says. That's why there's over 1,000 denominations. Oh, I'm not a hero. I'm just a guy who puts his pants on one leg at a time. Entheogen, that's a new word to me. Entheogen definition. A chemical substance, typically of plant origin, that is ingested to produce a non-ordinary state of consciousness. Praise God, you found the right room. Let's hope. Durden's Razor, are you talking to me about donations, equal doctrines? You can come up and talk, or I can invite you, however you want to work it. I know I had some folks who wanted to chat, but I'm just chatting one at a time. Kelly, awesome. They're protective. No, at this point, Raul Duke, I will talk to just about anybody about anything. I think it's more entertaining than watching me vamp or me just, try to talk to people chatting. So anything's probably better than that. Or I can talk about something if you guys want to just put it in a chat and say, hey, talk about this. I'd be more than happy to do that. But I'd rather talk to somebody about something. Hey, thanks, Toebeards. I'm hoping to do even better here. So, and no, you don't have to be opposed. You don't have to be an opponent or be a Christian to come up and talk. We can talk about anything. I mean, I would prefer to talk about why people believe in God, but I think any conversation is better than no conversation. Free thinkers, are they considered non-believers? It depends on whether or not they believe in a God. I think you can be a free thinker and still believe in a God, but how do you get there? David Ramos, there is a God. Can you want to talk about why you believe there is such a thing and see if you can prove it? And Cannibal Slayer, same to you. Do you have any evidence for a unified field of consciousness? Well, let's come up and talk about it. But yeah, free thinkers being believers, I think you can be a free thinker. Like I said, you can be a free thinker and think all kinds of things. And just because you think about it doesn't necessarily mean it's true. But yeah. they're probably using it as an acronym that I don't think about. So maybe, maybe not. What does MOA stand for? Through the left speaker. I don't know why that is. That's weird. Let me tinker with a little bit, see what I can come up with. Audio effects. Modal auto. Oh, yeah. I hate the modal. It's. Yeah, if God is possible, then God must necessarily exist. It's possible that pigs could come flying out of my lily white backside. I'm not wearing a pigsty for underwear anytime soon. You might, but I'm not gonna. Okay, that might work. I might have fixed the coming out of the left side only. We can talk about the modal ontological argument if you want. How can something always exist unless it's God? Special pleading much there? How do you know anything is a necessary being? Yeah, if you're saying everything has to have had a beginning except God, you're special pleading. It doesn't get you anywhere. Yeah, I just told it to go to both channels and it did, so. There's only one God. So anybody want to come up and talk about their definition of God? We can talk about the modal ontological argument. I mean, I don't find it any better or worse than any other argument for God. Catholic traditionalist, why don't you come on up? There you are. All right, so you said you gave me evidence for God. What is that evidence?
Yes, I gave you the evidence, what
What is it?
3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago?
Okay, what was
Ontological
that evidence?
intelligibility.
Pardon?
Ontological intelligibility.
Oh, okay. Go over it again.
Yeah, so for the sake of discussion, I'll go ahead and define this God generally as an intelligent agent who has the power and ability to instantiate and impose all states of affairs and didn't have a beginning like you and I, in other words, not a created being. So it's a creative mind that's responsible for everything. And you yourself, with regards to the things that you perceive to exist, those things themselves have the characteristic whereby they're capable of being perceived by you. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to perceive them. So it takes your ability to perceive, but it also takes the characteristic that these things have ontologically, whereby they themselves have that characteristic of being capable of being perceived by you. And so you admitted that you're not the one instantiating and imposing that when we had our conversation. And you admitted that an abstract thing requires a mind for its very existence. And so since these things exist with regards to being abstract things, because it is the state of being intelligent, then that means there is some other mind that is instantiating and imposing
No, it
anything and
doesn't mean that
everything
there's
that you're
some
perceiving to
there's a mind
exist.
no, that doesn't follow. Sorry.
Okay?
Just
So
because my
how
mind,
does it
just
not
because
follow?
a mind is required for some thoughts to or some concepts to exist, like 1 + 1 = 2, doesn't mean that there is some mind that created that 1 + 1 = 2. That doesn't follow.
In order for an abstract thing to exist, it requires a mind, correct?
Yes, and as soon as there are no minds in the universe, abstract things will cease to exist.
Okay. So with regards to abstract things, you would agree that those things, with regards to the things you're perceiving, has the characteristic whereby they're capable of being perceived by you, correct?
Yes.
Great. And you admitted in our last conversation that you're not the one that's instantiating and imposing that
Yes,
characteristic.
we already covered this. I've answered yes to these questions twice now. I'm not going to do it a
Great.
third time, so don't do it a third time.
Great. So therefore, since these things exist, and you're not the one instantiating and imposing them by your own admission, and yet these things exist as abstract things, which you admit requires a mind, and it's not your mind that's doing it. So therefore, there's some other mind that's doing it with regards to instantiating and imposing the characteristic with regards to all
Prove there's
things.
some other mind that's keeping
Well, you've
track
already
of
done
all
it by
these.
your answers. Yeah,
No,
but you've
I
already
haven't.
done it by your answers.
No, I haven't. All I've said
Yes,
is that
because you've admitted it's not your mind that's doing it, and
But
you've
now you're
admitted that a
claiming- but
mind
it
is
doesn't
required
follow
to
that-
do it.
Yes, and my mind does do abstract concepts, right?
Oh, I
And
don't
they exist
disagree.
in a
Your
mind,
mind
and
does
as
abstract
soon
concepts,
as-
but you
and
admitted
as
your
soon
mind
as-
isn't
hold
the
on.
mind.
And as soon as all minds in the universe go away, you no longer have abstract concepts. You've got to prove that is not the case.
Sure, let's say there wasn't any minds
There would be
on
no
Earth.
abstract concepts.
Well, hold on. I didn't even get my question out. Let's say there wasn't any minds on Earth except your mind. Okay, and you were looking at, I don't know, the stars. Let's just say the stars. Now, the stars have the characteristic, by your own admission, as being capable
Once
of.
again, yeah, I know where you're
Okay,
going.
notice
You're
everybody. He
repeating
brought me up. He
yourself.
doesn't actually want to have a
You're
conversation with
repeating
me,
yourself
so
multiple times.
he's just hand
And
waving
you
the evidence
haven't-
away.
No, because you haven't presented any evidence. And you haven't.
Yes,
done-
by
you
your
have not
own
addressed
admission,
my-
you've admitted you're not the one
No,
instantiating and
don't-
imposing
don't
the
need-
characteristic
no need to
itself,
yell.
but
No
you
need to
admitted a
yell.
mind is doing it. So since it's not your mind by your own admission, that means there's some other mind that's doing it because you admitted
No.
there's some other mind that has to be doing it.
No, I didn't. I just said that my mind isn't the one creating it, but I can certainly hold it, right? So
Great, then what
1
mind
plus
is
1
creating the
equals 2
abstract
is
thing?
An abstract thing.
Great. So is there a mind creating the abstract thing other than your mind?
No.
Okay, so then what
You
is
need
it?
to
What
prove it.
is the
You need
mind
to
that's
prove it.
instantiating and imposing the very characteristic of the thing itself?
Well, it's my mind thinking about. the
No, you
abstract
admitted
concept.
earlier it's not your mind. Remember, in our conversation, you admitted in our previous
And
conversation and in this conversation that it's
I
not
didn't
your
create
mind that
1
is
plus 1
instantiating and
equals
imposing.
2.
Notice he
And
has to
just 'cause
talk
it's
over
not
me,
my
everybody.
mind-
He can't have a conversation without allowing me
Oh,
to speak. He has to
please.
interrupt and
All right,
overtalk
all you're gonna
over
do
me.
is whine.
Well, I mean, I'm trying
whine.
to speak to you, but you keep interrupting and overtalking me. I mean,
Yeah,
I know it's a tactic that you
Quit
atheists do.
whining.
So,
Quit whining.
well, I know it's a tactic. It's what you're doing to get
All right,
out of
one last
you know
time,
being
quit whining.
put in a box.
All right, fine. You're not gonna quit whining. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye bye. Drop me. Run.
There you go. Yeah, he's just saying the same thing over and over again, not responding to anything. So he's got to prove that another mind is out there. So yeah, he just wants to yell and scream. Anybody else? Yeah, it is. I mean, anyway. And then, yeah. There we go. There's some Christian persecution for you, right? For all you Christian persecution porn advocates out there. So, I did take the words, and I refuted them. And he just kept repeating himself. He asked me the same questions over and over again. So, and he refused to prove that a mind exists. He just said because it didn't exist, I didn't create it, doesn't mean it meant that there has to be some mind out there. No, it doesn't. Guess what? Anybody else want to try? Yeah, and presuppositional and yes, Fen, Catholic traditionalist was presupposing there needs to be a mind creating something. And of course, with all presuppositions, I presuppose I'm God. Shell, so it's the garbage in, garbage out principle. Beliefs inform actions, actions have consequences. You can also look at it that way. And we can see right now that we have a bunch of so-called Christians in power in the United States who are harming marginalized communities, who, seem to think that SNAP benefits aren't something that Jesus would be in favor of. And so all of this stuff comes from Christians. Christian support of Israel comes from their hope that the world will come to an end soon. So, yeah, there's all kinds of hurt from bad beliefs and beliefs that are based on bad information. But if you want to come up and talk about it, Shell, more than happy to. Shell, I just mentioned the consequences it has on me. I have friends who are in those marginalized communities. I have empathy and compassion for those marginalized communities. And so, yes, it doesn't matter if it's personal, Shell, don't care. It's hurting people. It's hurting. And if you're a Christian, you really should care too, because God does seem to think that, that's the whole Cain and Abel thing. You are responsible for your fellow human being. Well, it depends on how you want to define good Christian. Right? So, Shell, why don't you come on up? Oh, wait, it's Fen Integram. I got someone. Fen's coming up now, and then we'll, Shell, you can come up if you want. Hey, Fen. Oh, wait, did you leave? Okay. Why is there good? Because people have empathy? I saw you withdrew it. I didn't mind talking to you. It's just, there it is. Okay. Now you're coming up.
Hey,
Hey.
yeah, I withdrew it because I forgot for a second what I was gonna say. I have bad ADHD,
So
but
do I.
when
You and I will get along famously, and nobody will be able to understand our conversation because we'll run for 35 seconds, and we'll follow each other, but no one else will, unless they have ADD.
well, the one thing that I really wanted to address is, people in the comments, like, for some reason, mocking former believers for their pain or sharing their pain or the fact that they have pain. And I don't think they really understand what it is that they are communicating in this case. Because
Yeah.
if you are disregarding someone for church hurt, or if somebody has a valid explanation and then you turn it to church hurt, what you are saying is you are disregarding someone for specifically being a victim. And we get it.
Yep.
You hate victims when they point out that they are a victim and you are, in fact, the perpetrator, Christians. So, yeah, I get it. I get it. You hate
Yeah.
victims. And that's all you're saying.
I think they also kind of forget that there is a thing called religious trauma syndrome. And it is a result of psychological and emotional distress from abusive, controlling religious practices or beliefs. So that's a thing. And it's a thing that professional psychiatrists and or psychologists actually deal with. So, yeah, being a believer.
Well,
and
they
again,
also...
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, they also will, like, oh man, my ADHD happened again. When it comes to disregarding people as victims, like, I don't think that they actually consider how terrible that is and how wrong that is. Like, I mean, if somebody says, "Hey, the church did this terrible, terrible thing," okay, and then they say, "Oh, look at you, you're just hurt," okay. In what scenario is that anything other than just hating on a victim?
Right.
You know?
Yeah, it's diminishing. It's diminishing someone's pain. It's something we should be very careful about doing. Because there are people who will fake being in pain for sympathy, and that kind of thing. So you do have to be a little bit careful. But those people are fairly rare. And honestly, what does the empathy hurt you, even if they're faking it? It doesn't. Empathy doesn't hurt anybody. Understanding where somebody is coming from and understanding pain and that kind of thing doesn't hurt anybody. And yet Christians will go, "Oh, you're just hurt," right? Or not all Christians do that. Yeah, enough of
Yeah,
them
that's the
do.
worst one. And
Yeah.
That's the worst, in my opinion, is not all Christians. Because here's the thing: the core doctrines, okay, even like among Christians who treat it as it's a closed practice, even among Christians who look exclusively to the creeds, which is basically mainline Christianity, though some will say
Hmm.
we are non-creedal, when you still examine their beliefs and what adheres mainline Christianity together, it is the creeds, and they outline a very specific set of doctrines, and those specific set of doctrines cannot be divorced from mental abuse. For
Well,
instance,
here's
sin. And
yeah, the concept of original sin is a
yeah,
fundamentally abusive concept. The concept that
oh yeah,
somebody, and then Christians also want to be all about, personal responsibility. Some guy taking the punishment for you is not personal responsibility. So the entire belief system doesn't go with what they say. It doesn't. None of it makes any sense. To no matter how you look
yeah,
at it. And again, this goes back to beliefs inform actions, actions have consequences. And the best Christians are the Westboro Baptist Church folks. They're also some of the worst humans on the planet. Without actually, being mass murderers and dictators, right? I mean, to put those as somewhat worse, but they are horrible people because they do denigrate and try to marginalize, and try to browbeat people into not being what they are, and that's not good. So yeah.
yeah. But also, like, when it comes to the core doctrines, I mean, I don't think the Christians really put any actual thought into what these, what ideas the core doctrines communicate. Because
Hmm.
if you have sin, and you have the atonement, what you have are people who have accepted
Well,
into themselves the notion that they are wrong, that they are corrupt, that they are affected by evil, that there's nothing they can do about it, that they are deserving of unalivement. That's the big one. And the
yeah, well,
bigger
no,
one
no, not
is
just on
they
alignment,
deserve
but
eternal conscious torment.
yeah, eternal torment.
Yeah.
And there is no
And what
justice
happens?
for a finite crime getting an eternal punishment. There just isn't. But
Yeah.
substitutionary atonement isn't justice either, right? As a fundamental part of U.S. law and the U.S. judicial system, is that that some father or mother can't take the time for a crime their child did. That's not allowed because it's not about personal responsibility, because that's not justice. And yet, some guy who gets himself nailed to a cross, that's justice? That's perfect
Yeah,
justice?
it's not even
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not even logically justice, but even beyond that, it's not even biblically justice. Like what it takes for the for an approved offering, Jesus doesn't match any of those requirements. The spotlessness,
Mhm.
is the big one. He was brutally beaten. He was messed up big time. But yeah, it
And
just
he
doesn't
chose that,
qualify. It
right? I
couldn't.
mean, if we accept that he's God and God knew he was going, so one of the things that I say that really pissed Christians off is that God created the universe to kill his son.
Yep.
That is the
Yeah.
logical
Well,
consequence of an omnipotent, omniscient, omnibenevolent God. Well, I would say he's omnibenevolent at this point, but yeah, he knew the universe was
you don't
going
even
was
have to
yeah.
you don't even have to take logical inference. You can actually source this from scripture. For instance, he tells us exactly before creation that God has already decided who's going where in terms of heaven or hell,
Right.
that it was chosen before creation, which would indicate that Christ, who was
Hey,
also
Jeremy.
there in the beginning, was the Word, so on and so forth. This was all decided. He decided that Christ was going to be paying the penalty before creation began. So, yeah, he did literally make creation to unalive his son. It's always been a part of the plan
Yep.
of creation. You're right.
Yeah. And that's always the problem, right? With all of this stuff, is when you take it to its logical extreme, it makes less and less sense. So anyway, I've got someone else who wants to come up, Fen. So I want to do that. It was good talking to you, and I appreciate it.
Nice talking to you,
And
man. I got kids screaming, so I got to go anyway.
All right, go take care of the kids. Bye. Hello, Ken.
How's it going, man? I was going to help you out a little bit. The scripture actually says it pleased the Father to crush the Son. It doesn't. You don't have to do any Sherlock Holmes work. Scripture's explicit, and why that works. And there's a reason for that. It's a logical necessity. But it's bizarre to me when I hear so-called atheists claim logic when they have no grounding for it whatsoever.
Oh, you're not
Atheism,
gonna-
you
you're
do
not gonna
realize.
do that,
Well, you
right?
do realize atheism is one of the most absurd worldviews you could possibly have. You
Atheism-
stand on
well,
my
there's your-
shoulders
hold
and then
on,
tell
back
me
up.
you're not. So,
Stop, or I'll mute you.
I find that bizarre.
So atheism is not a worldview. Right? Atheism is a single
Wow.
position on a
Wow.
single yes.
Wow. Yeah, it's a worldview. It's
And
how you see the
theism-
world.
theism
You
is
make a
not a
claim, a
worldview
metaphysical
either.
claim right there, and you're in
And
the
theism
process
is
of
not
saying
a
the word
worldview
atheism.
either.
You make a metaphysical
So,
claim.
Yeah, here we
Yeah.
go. We're going to mute you. All right.
Of course, I've already eaten you alive in the first 30 seconds.
No, so
Of course, you're gonna mute.
Atheism-
Of course, I'd run too if I were you.
oh jeez.
Yeah.
So atheism is not a worldview. Theism is not a worldview either. It's a claim on a single proposition. Is there a God? That's all it is. So in order to be a worldview, we also have to know how people look at, well, the world. And no, just a single proposition doesn't do it. So it makes no other external claims about anything other than I don't believe there is a God. And if you're agnostic and if you're an atheist, then there are no gods. And I'm an atheist. There's no evidence for gods. So you simply can't get there from here. And that's why theism is also not a worldview, right? In fact, under theism, we've got two more categories, monotheism and polytheism, right? And then under monotheism, you got the Abrahamic gods, you've got panpsychism and all those other things running around. And we get a little bit more of a worldview from there. But I would say even knowing that you believe in an Abrahamic God doesn't really get us to a complete worldview. So no, those things just don't happen. And Ken, you can make claims about domination, all the rest of it. I really don't care. I care about the conversation. You weren't willing to have it. And so I booted you. And nothing you said that actually disproves, proves that the atheism is a worldview. So, because it's not. Not believing in unicorns or stating that unicorns don't exist is not a worldview either. So, but he wasn't willing, Taylor. That's the problem. He wasn't willing to have a conversation. Right? So, that's not going to work. So, and him trying to talk over me and start claiming, beating his chest about how victorious he is and all the rest. That's not having a conversation. Certainly not with me. I mean, I get that happens on TikTok all the time, but not on my live, not with me. So there we go. Ken, you saying those kind of things doesn't help you. You still sound, you are very childish. I can understand why religions exist, but atheists just seem arrogant. What, Jake, what is arrogant about that? It's just the same. It's the same thing as being a theist. Is being a theist arrogant? If you don't think being a theist is arrogant, why do you think someone who's on the opposite side of the proposition is arrogant? It doesn't make any sense. So you can come on up, Jake, if you want. No, I'm not that desperate to have a conversation to be yelled at again. I have no reason to believe he's not going to do the same thing. Based on his comments here in chat, I have no reason to believe he's not going to do the same thing. So, why? So, if he's capable of demonstrating, I'll probably forget by tomorrow. So it's not that big a deal. But Jake, do you want to talk about why atheists seem arrogant? We could have that conversation if you want. And folks, do share my stream, get some more folks to come in and say hi. And thank you for the hearts, Blue Cajun, and hey, Jamie, appreciate it. Gifts are always welcome. It's Jim, not James. James is my formal name. Most people call me Jim. But I try. Thank you. Appreciate you guys. Yeah, I'm trying to do enough of these that I could be on here and YouTube and do all that. So no worries. I think I may even have it as James up here. I do. I have it as James Barrows, not Jim. So I should change that at some point. That's my fault. Yes, I'm still in the atheist experience. I don't know when my next actual time on. I think I have one this month or next. No, I'm on Skeptic Haven on the 23rd. And I'll be on December 7th, a day that will live in infamy. So November 23rd, I'll be on Skeptic Haven, and the 7th, I will be on Atheist Experience again. Hey, Just Snyder, if I pronounced that correctly. Yeah. One of my favorite books growing up was a book of all of the intelligence stories around Pearl Harbor and how many chances we missed. It was good. It was a hardback. It was an old hardback when I got it. Might still be out somewhere. But, talking about how after Pearl Harbor, there was a report of somebody signaling a sub in New York Harbor. A bunch of Marines kicked the door down. There's a little old woman trying to fix her blinds, so they fixed her blinds for her. Chances we missed to what? Yeah. Oh, yeah. So there were a number of things that came through that if anybody had been paying attention might have alerted Honolulu and Hawaii that the attack was imminent, either by themselves or all together. Yeah, Matt's no longer on the Atheist Experience. He's over on the line. I sometimes do the line too. I need to talk to them and find out when I can get on there next. And start doing more of these conversations. I do enjoy having the conversation as long as it's a conversation. If you're going to talk over me and scream and scream about how you're beating me and all the rest of that nonsense, and just beat your chest, then that's not a conversation I want to have. So we can just keep doing that. Yes, share it to your friends. The more folks we have, the more fun we'll have. The more conversations we'll have, the more interesting it'll get. So do share it. And here comes the real mad artificer. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's it.
All right. So what do you want to talk about?
Well, first I just wanted to say I've seen you on the shows for years, and I appreciate the voice of reason that you usually are most of the time.
Most of the time, yeah. I have got.
Well, I mean,
have
nobody's
lost my cool
100%
on
correct all the
yeah.
time.
No, and I have lost my
Exactly.
temper on
Sometimes we pop a fuse, and when we don't mean to.
Yeah.
But Yeah, no, I appreciate all the effort you take to try and, educate people, because that's what's sorely missing from pretty much everything today.
Yeah. And reasonable conversations, I think, are also missing.
Absolutely.
And sometimes it's because we can't see each other's mouths moving, and so it's hard to tell when there's going to be a break in the conversation to interrupt or to say something, and that's a thing too. So, the visual cues that we sometimes use in having conversations aren't there, but so.
Yeah, it doesn't help when you have people who aren't interested in conversation and just want to attack somebody.
Right. Yeah, we get some of that on AXP too. Even when we were doing the phones, and we were
Quite a
live in
lot.
the studio. Yeah. So, but yeah, sounds like you're making something fun.
I'm hoping to make some lunch here pretty soon. But I did have a question for you, just to get your thoughts on a thing.
Let's see if I've got an answer for you.
What? I was trying to formulate the best way to ask the question. My biggest problem when I try to talk to theists and friends and family who are like, "Why don't you believe?" is I'll ask them questions, and then the blank stare I get in the response of like, "Well, why would I think about that?" is the most mind-boggling thing in the world to me. Like my grandmother, used to tell me, "Oh, that's not in the Bible," and then I'd get her Bible and show her where it is, and then she's just like, "Oh," and I'm like, "How did you not know that was in there?"
Right. Because they've never.
She's like, "Well," I'm like, "Haven't you read the book?" And she's like, "Well, why would I?" I'm like, "Gee, I don't know. Maybe because you walk around saying that every word of it is true. Don't you think you might ought to know what you're telling people is true?"
Well, so this goes back to kind of one of the things that is socially acceptable, and that is that parents tell their children things, their children trust their parents to tell them true things, and then when other people in authority tell them things, they expect those things to be true too. And so, no, they don't. They go to church, right? And, Catholics get read the entire Bible from cover to cover every 2 or 3 years. I forget what the cycle is anymore, but you have to go to mass every day to get every single verse. And they may forget the begats and some of that kind of stuff, but pretty much, if you're a Catholic and you go to mass every day, you will get read the Bible. But I think also that they're trusting the preachers and the people who are supposed to know stuff to read it and interpret it for them. They don't want to do the hard work that it takes to actually do that. I mean, you look at what some of these biblical scholars have to go through. They have to learn not just a foreign language, but a dead version of a foreign language, right? They have to learn older Hebrew, read, write, and speak in order to understand what the original said. And they have to understand Greek. And they have to do all of this.
You have to care enough.
Right. Well, you have to have the time, right? Not everybody has the
Right.
time or the interest. So that's a problem. And so you trust these authorities, and so you don't do the investigation yourself. We do the same thing with news, right? Back before the internet, ABC, CBS, and NBC, we trusted those news programs to give us the unbiased news. And for the most part, I think they did an okay job as human beings at respecting that trust. And today, I don't think that's happening as much because of the internet. So, yeah, I think that's the biggest problem is that people just trust. And now we know we don't have to. We can go read this stuff. We can go read biblical scholars. You can go take a class from Bart Ehrman if you want, and some of the other biblical scholars are also doing it. And actually go, whereas before, to go take a class, you had to go move to wherever they were going, enroll in college, whatever college they were teaching at, just to take one class, right? That was just kind of a pain in the neck. And today, it's out there, and you can do that. So that's part of it. And I think that's also why people are resisting, right? It's just the backfire effect in some cases, because And also, people identify as themselves, right? It's an identity.
Right.
To,
Their
yeah,
belief is
that's-
part of who they are.
Right. Which is why when Christians become atheists, they go through that, the grief cycle. One of which is the angry atheist phase and
Yes.
bargaining, right? So yeah,
Maybe I can
all that
believe just a
comes into-
little bit of it, and it's okay.
right.
Yeah, my grandmother also was like, how did you become an atheist? I took you to church. And I said, Grandma, you took me to 6 different ones.
Right. And she doesn't see
6
the
different
problem in
ones, read me the same paragraph telling me it means 6 different things. What did you think was going to happen?
that. Right.
Like, how can this mean 6 different things at once? And each one of you says everybody else is wrong. The only logical conclusion I could make was, well, you can't all be right.
Yes.
But it is possible that you're all wrong.
Yeah, and you only have to hear that phrase once or twice and be exposed to 4 or 5 different Christian religions to kind of make that leap, right? It doesn't take much.
Yeah. And it's like, I told her, I said, I watched you bounce from Christian church to Christian church to Christian church, different flavors until you found the one you liked, which even at the age of like 7, I could realize wasn't about what was true. It was about what you liked the most.
Yep. I agree.
Oh, we don't go to that church anymore. Well, why not? Well, because they took all the donation money and put it in a parking lot. What's that got to do with whether or not God's real and cares about us? Like, it just blew my mind as a kid. I asked too many questions for the churches she took me to. Also, they didn't like that.
Yeah, I kind of had some of the same problem. Parents took me, always tried to put me in a parochial school, a Catholic school of some kind. Usually there was a waiting list. I will say that the Catholic schools that I went to gave me a better education than most of the public schools that I went to, in general. Or so it seems to me. Not that, with my ADD, not that I was actually capable of taking full advantage of that. But, yeah, it was always harder to go from a public school to a Catholic school than it was to go from a Catholic school back to a public school. But, and it was
Yeah,
hard
no,
changing
she never
schools.
sent me to Catholic school. She didn't try Catholicism until she was well into her 60s. She's like, well, maybe I'll finally give that Catholics a try. And I'm like, okay. I hope you find the thing, Grandma, because so far you're batting 0. Like, you haven't found one you could stick with for more than a couple of years at a time.
Yeah. Bilbo Ball Baggins, his vaccine is 100% safe and effective. Whose vaccine is 100% safe and effective? Don't say God's. If you do say God's, then you can come up here and
100% safe? Tell that to everybody with religious trauma.
yeah, like I said, religious trauma syndrome is a real thing.
It's a very real thing.
Artificer, I got someone else who wants to come up, but it's been a fun conversation. You're welcome to come up and we talk about just about anything again. But I'm going to
Indeed.
move on to my next conversation partner.
All right, thanks. Have a good
Thank
one.
you. You too. All right. And next up is Affordable Pest Management. Hello. I think we've talked before. That name seems to ring a bell, but I have a memory like a steel sieve.
You and me both. Getting better by the day.
Yep. Let's hope. So what's up? What do you want to talk about?
I just think you're painting with a broad brush, and making a emphatic claim that there's no gods and then stamping truth right there. So I just want to, I believe in God. I'm a Christian, and I always defend, that honor, as I would want God to defend me. There's 2 sides to every story. No matter how flat you make the pancake, there's still 2 sides. So I'm willing to listen to you as to why you don't think there is a God, and I'm willing to present my argument as to why I think there is.
Well, real simply, the omni-God that most Christians believe in doesn't logically exist as long as there is evil in the world, however you want to define that. If you say, yes, there's evil in the world, then the triomni God can't possibly exist logically. And then for any other God claim, no other God claim seems to fit what we know about the universe. that's been presented to me so far. So I see no reason to accept the claim that there may be gods, much, and therefore make the claim that there are no gods because they don't fit with what we know about the universe.
Okay. Yeah. To the five senses, that makes perfect sense. You know, it really
Well,
does.
I'm going beyond the five senses, right? Because quantum mechanics requires us to go beyond the five senses, etc. But yeah, all of science, yes.
Okay. So all of science, you know, I'm going to give you that. But see, the problem with the theory is that there has yet to be any kind of a measuring tool to detect spirit. So until that is plausible, you can't
Well,
truthfully say that there is no spirit.
well, I can because we don't have we. First of all, when you say spirit, what do you mean?
Spirit is above my pay grade in definition because it's not described anywhere, nor is it measurable or understood.
Then,
So
then
the
how do you
best
know
we
it
can do,
exists?
the best we can do is go to the book. So if I'm going to talk about God or spirit, I have to go to the book that outlines what it is. Okay.
So this is the book that makes claims that are also disproven by science. That book.
Well, look, we can argue five different arguments at the same time, but we're going to be chasing our tail. Let's deal with one at a time. The first one is going to be spirit. So, in order to understand that, we got to go back to the beginning, Genesis 1. There's three different distinct Hebrew words used when God both formed, made, and then finally, most importantly, created Adam.
Cool.
The created
So what?
portion was spirit.
So what?
Okay.
I don't care what the book says. See, this is going to be the fundamental problem you are going to have. You take the book seriously, and I don't, right? And by serious, I mean you accept it to be true, and I just think it's just another literary work. So when you say things like the Bible says there's a spirit, I'm going to respond with the Dresden Files say there's a wizard living in Chicago.
Got it.
And
Makes
it
sense.
is the exact same to me. Those two statements that God's created spirit and there's a wizard living in Chicago have the exact same truth value for the world that we live in, which
Right,
is they
but
aren't true. So that's
when
going to be a problem with you going to the book because I don't accept the only things I accept in the book are the things that we can prove are true.
okay. So when we're dealing with God as you are, this is your proposition, there is no gods. Okay. So God is spirit. Because God is spirit, we have to try to intellectualize him and
How do you
give
know
him a,
God is spirit?
because that's what he says of himself.
Where? In what book that you can prove is actually true? Where does it say that?
In the book of John, I believe it's chapter 4, verse 24.
Again, we're going to have we still have the same problem. You say that your literary work says this. My literary work says something else. Neither one of them I accept as true or worthy of being a reference material for anything but what they say about themselves. Right?
Right, but that's a cop-out argument because you're not giving it a fair shot. Why I say that is, if I'm studying mathematics, I certainly do not go to an English textbook. I don't study English to understand math, nor do I understand physics by going to a math book. Okay.
Right. And you're going to a book that makes all kinds of claims that we know are simply not true. And that's a problem, right? It is a literary work. So the Bible doesn't even come close to being a math book or a physics book or a book on anything other than a bunch of stories.
Right, but true. But see, that's still a cop-out argument. You're not giving it a fair shot. Okay,
I'm giving it the exact same. I'm giving your literary work the exact same shot that I give the Dresden Files series of books. I give it the exact same shot.
Okay, so here's the thing. If we're going to have a civil discourse about it, What I'm saying is that you've got to hypothesize with me for a moment and be open-minded, or else
Then
you
you have to hypothesize with me about a wizard who lives in Chicago.
okay, I'll do that for you if you do this with me.
But see, the thing is I know that that's not true, so I don't really care unless we're talking about Harry Dresden and Harry Dresden's world and that literary thing. And I don't think that's the way that you want to talk about that as in that sense. If you want to talk, because I don't want to talk about Harry Dresden actually existing, because I know he doesn't. It's a work of fiction. It's a literary work. This is the same problem that I have with the Bible, right? You've given me no reason to accept the Bible as anything more than a literary book. So can we start with that? Why should I take the Bible as anything more than a bunch of collected stories?
Okay. That is your opinion. I respect that opinion, but if, given time, I can explain and rationalize it in an intellectual way with you that would make sense. But I think we're getting off point. What we're trying to do is just do one thing and one thing at a time. And is there spirit matter? Is there a God?
Right.
So
but you keep appealing to a book in a way that I'm not going to accept. I'm never going to accept your book as being anything more than a literary work, the exact same as the Harry Dresden Files, Tolkien series. To me, it's all the same. You haven't given me any reason to accept anything it says, as true.
Then you cannot say there is no gods because you're not willing to disprove the equation. What I'm saying is there's an equation that makes sense. It may not make sense to you right now because maybe you were fed a bunch of hogwash about the Bible and you were programmed.
I would suggest that I understand the Bible better than you do, but because I've read it multiple times and I also actively study it from biblical scholars. But it has absolutely nothing to do with the fact that you are attempting to say that this literary work has some truth to it. And I can go point to, and one of the reasons why I pick on Harry Dresden is because Harry Dresden takes place and has a lot of things that are true about Chicago. The author gets Chicago's landmarks and Chicago's streets and all that stuff correct. But just because he gets that correct doesn't mean Harry Dresden exists. And just because your Bible sometimes gets things right doesn't mean that it's always true. So that's where you have to start.
Well, I don't believe something has to be 100% true in order to gain some truth from it. Okay. I believe that the Bible got mistranslated. I believe that it's possible things got added or taken away over the thousands of years it's existed. But I don't believe it's all wrong. I don't throw it out because there's some challenges with it or apparent.
Right. And I take some things. I claim that most of my morals come from reading really, really good science fiction and fantasy books. Mostly because my parents who raised me, and who I probably really got my morals from, are Trump supporters, but don't get into politics. And so I can take things from fiction that are true. One of my favorite sayings, it comes actually from Dune, right? The Litany Against Fear. So I can take things from books that of principles and morals and things like that and apply them to my own life. You can do that from any work of literature. Doesn't mean it's true.
Well, you're absolutely right. But see, when you close your mind to the possibility that someone may have something more than you know,
I'm waiting for you to demonstrate something more than I know, and that something more than I know is that the Bible is actually something I should take as something more than a literary device.
You cut yourself off and you closed yourself off and you hemmed yourself in and said, I'll learn anything but that.
No, I'm telling you right now, I have read the Bible and I study the Bible and I still don't accept anything that, let's treat the Bible as a historical document, right? So the first thing we got to do is we throw out all the supernatural things because supernatural is not history. We don't accept any supernatural claim as being part of history. We've got to throw out most of Genesis because we know that Adam and Eve didn't exist, because that's not the way evolution works, and that's not the way biology works. We know that we can throw out the Tower of Babel. That's a minor little point, but that's because we know how languages spread and how they change over time. Linguistics tells us that. We can look at the flood, and we can go, no, the flood didn't happen as written. We can look at the Exodus. The Exodus didn't happen as written. There's no evidence for that. So we can start doing all this stuff, and I just don't see why I should take the claim that something supernatural like a spirit exists just because this book that gets some things right and some things wrong as all the way true.
Okay. And I'll respect that, because here's the thing. If you really wanted to know, you would be objectively open-minded to another
being objectively open-minded. I'm telling you exactly what you need to do to get me to accept your claims of the supernatural happening in the Bible.
You're setting the narrative up, okay, and you're not. That's not objective. Objective is considering and empathizing with somebody else's point of view.
No. Objective means it exists outside of a mind.
Even if you disagree with it, you're to be objective, you've got to be open-minded that you may be wrong.
I'm open-minded and I may be wrong.
You're not. You're absolutely not, because I have a strong argument that you're not willing to hear, and you keep throwing.
But your strong argument starts with a book that I don't give the same credence to that you do. And I'm asking you to give me some reason to give it that same credence that you do, and you're not doing that.
You won't let me go there. You won't let me go there.
You immediately started with spirit, and
right, that's the topic.
Right, and
That's the topic
you can't prove you're going to a book to claim that something exists. I can go to a book and claim that that claims the supernatural exists too. That's my problem.
If that's true, there's absolutely no books on the face of this earth then that can prove it. There's no.
Come on.
There's no.
Don't be so dramatic. Don't be so dramatic.
If the Bible ain't true, I'm going to throw out everything. If the Bible,
that is so childish and ridiculous. You can't throw out math. Math has proofs that proves it exists. Physics has evidence that its claims are made.
It ain't
But you're
100%.
looking at this Bible and you're going, well, if you don't take this as seriously as I do, then I'm going to throw everything out. And then where do we stand? That's childish.
Talk about spirits, sir. What I'm claiming is if you're going to talk about a subject, you got to go to the book that outlines what it is. You can't talk.
The Dresden Files also talks about spirits.
Who?
The Dresden Files also talks about spirits. It talks about ghosts and spirits in every sense of the word spirit.
Right, but in the sense of its origin and does it exist?
Yes.
Does it?
Yes, in fact, the magic system and the way that Dresden Files is set up makes more logical sense than the Bible does. There are fewer holes in the Dresden Files because the Dresden Files says there's a God too. Dresden Files also says that there's a summer queen of fairy and a winter queen of fairy.
All right, but you wouldn't agree with that, talking about that any more than you would the Bible then, right?
Exactly my point. Thank you.
Okay.
That is exactly my point.
So then throw that one out. So take the Bible, throw that one out. Take the Dresden Files, throw those out. You see where I'm going. You get to pick and choose the whole narrative on how we're going to talk about this.
I'm asking you to give me a reason to accept the Bible as anything more than a literary work.
Right, and I tried to do that, and you cut me off and said I don't want to hear that.
You went to the book to prove the book, and that's circular. Around and around we go. Where the argument stops, nobody knows. You can't.
Wait a minute. I didn't say I was going to do that exclusively. I was going to bounce off of that. I was going to set it up and then talk about it and then give you an experience.
Leave the Bible out of it. Go on to your next topic.
I can't talk about God as you are wanting to talk about without talking about the Bible. Can't do it.
That's a problem, isn't it? And it's not my problem. That's a you problem.
Well, you
right?
can comfortably stay in your 5 cents bubble and feel comfortable, but the bottom line is you're never going to understand anyone else's perspective or theories or potential answers to your questions with being closed-minded.
I'm not being closed-minded.
Oh, you
I
most
keep
certainly are.
asking you for evidence. You keep pointing to the Bible because the Bible proves God wrote the Bible, and around the argument goes, right? It's just circular. It doesn't do anything for me.
Are you the arbiter of truth?
No. I'm the
Then
arbiter
don't.
of what I want to believe. And what I want to
Oh,
believe are as many
no.
true things as possible, which means I need some sort of evidence to accept as true that the Bible is anything more than a literary work. And you can't do that.
Right, but if
That's
you're
the
not the
problem.
arbiter of truth and you're not willing to accept any other argument other than what you believe is true, then you can sit in your bubble. See,
But you're
that's
not
not
making an argument. I mean, all you're
No,
doing is you're going to the Bible to prove that the Spirit exists, and I'm
Right.
saying I don't care what the Bible says.
All right.
So you
Then
got to
don't
go
talk
outside of it, right?
Then
When the
don't
Bible
talk about
when the Bible makes claims that that a city exists, I don't accept that as true until an archaeologist goes, "Yep, this city existed." Like Jericho,
Right.
for instance, right? We
Right.
know that at the time that the Jericho story was written, Jericho was already destroyed and had been abandoned for a long time before they wrote about it. And so that's a problem. These
Okay,
are
but
the
is that
things that you have a problem with. That
Yeah, we
you
could
have
go
a problem with your claims.
we could go down the ledger on the left side and you could talk about everything that you could potentially disprove about the Bible, but I could bring in somebody equally as intelligent on the biblical archaeology and the sciences and everything on that over there in that geographical location that will put you to shame and draw out a bunch of things that you
That's
can't
very nice. That's
Right.
very nice. But if
Right.
they've got archaeological evidence for what they're claiming, I'll accept what they're saying is true. Just like if you can give me some sort of evidence of why I should give the Bible any more credence than I would any other literary work, then I will accept that as true. But you can't do that without going to the Bible, and you have to step outside of the Bible to do it.
Then respectfully, sir, I think you should pick a different topic because you're talking about something that you're closed-minded about. The very book that
How can I be closed-minded when I'm asking you for the evidence and you can't give it to me without being circular?
Okay. Well, then, like I said, there's no one else going to do it. There's no machine that can prove or disprove spirit, yet you cannot universally prove or disprove that God doesn't exist
I
either.
don't even know what a spirit is.
Right, exactly.
So why
So
do I have?
if you
If I don't know what a
disprove it-
spirit is, then why should I accept as true that it exists?
Okay, so the answer is simple. If you're not open-minded to the very book that outlines it, then you should close up shop and talk about quantum mechanics or quantum
No,
physics.
the problem is that your book is not the only book that talks about spirits, right?
Okay, but
You
you
have
said
the
you don't
Quran
believe those
talks about
other books.
spirits. Almost
Right.
every religious book talks about
Do you believe
spirits,
it?
and I've
Do
got
you
a
believe
whole
it?
series of fantasy books that talk about
Right.
spirits as well.
All fantasy.
So
all fantasy
all those
doesn't-
are literary works.
Exactly. So would you give any more credence to any of those other literary works as opposed to the Bible?
No, I give the Bible the same credence as I give those books.
Close up shop. Talk about quantum mechanics or math or science.
All right, we've gone around this a couple of times. You don't have any reason to believe what you believe other
It doesn't
than
matter
the Bible
that
tells
there-
you so. That basically that's what it comes down to is you believe because the Bible tells you so, and the Bible is just a literary work, right?
Can you disprove that? Can you disprove that there is no God?
I already have. We started that conversation.
That's
we started
not
that in the very
factual.
beginning of the conversation.
I'm
Yes.
talking about anything other than your opinion. Can you disprove God in a factual, tangible way? Yes or no?
Yes.
Show me.
The universe, so one, the triomni God is logically impossible as long as he exists in the world.
No, that's your
Two.
opinion.
No,
Facts.
it's not.
Show me the facts. Show me an equation. Show me something
That
other
is
than your
literally the argument. And it's
No,
not my
it's
argument.
not. No.
All right.
That's
Anyway.
about as much makes as much sense as what I'm trying to say. See, if they're going to
Yeah, and
prove
it's not
you
even
got
my
this,
argument. It actually predates Christianity.
because I can talk about
It's the
intelligent
problem.
design.
It's the problem
sir.
of evil. It predates Christianity. It goes back to Greek philosophers. So you're the only reason you believe is because of the Bible. I'm not going to accept the Bible as anything more than a literary
Wait a
work,
minute.
and you can't prove it's anything more than a literary work.
Do you know there were
So
30,
you know,
30 MIT
affordable
mathematicians?
test management. Thank you so much for the conversation. If you come up with a way to prove that I should care about the Bible, please let me know. Oh, and I was going to give you a chance to say something. Anyway, next up is user 15782. Hello, user.
Hey, what's going on, man?
Not much. How you doing?
I'm doing good, brother.
So what do you want to talk about?
Well, you were saying there was no way to prove the Bible, but science does it.
Well, no. So I covered that. I don't know if you heard that, but we have. So again, it's a literary work. It's no different than the Dresden Files, and the Dresden Files gets a number of facts about our world correct, while also being a book about spirits and magic, and that gods exist and that fairies exist.
A
So
literary work that predicts science before we discover it.
no, it doesn't. That's post hoc rationalization.
Let's make man in our image.
Yeah, except that we know that didn't happen because that doesn't coincide with what we know about biology and evolution.
Well, we do know that the human is a trinity:
No, we don't even know that.
mind, body, spirit, or all scientists are lying.
Again, so we have a mind and we have a body, but again,
And we have a
what is
spirit.
this
It's proven.
spirit and how do you prove that there's a spirit?
Well, that burden's not on me. It was on science, and they proved it.
Okay, what was the experiment? Where's the paper that proves spirit exists?
Well, Google's free, buddy. You can Google it up and see, man. I mean, it's there.
Yeah, I've Googled spirit and I've got it up here now, and there's nothing about science, and there is nothing in any paper that I can see that proving spirit exists. So you're the one making the claim.
Well,
Where's the paper?
Well,
Where's the evidence?
let me teach you how to research mind, body, spirit, science. It'll give you all your answers there, but it's a proven thing. And the Bible said, "Let's make man in our image."
So
A
I don't care
trinity.
what the Bible says, right? And so let's go ahead and Google. What do you say? Mind, spirit, mind, body, science. Let's see what we have. And I bet you it's pseudoscience. Yeah, so direct communication between nervous and endocrine and immune systems, neuroscience.
So we're a
Yeah,
trinity.
I don't see
Just like the Bible said we
anything.
were.
I don't see anything here that comes to anywhere close to being scientific about mind spot. So yeah, again, I just need the paper or the experiments, something along those lines, right? And I need a definition of spirit too, right? Because when I go look at the definition of spirit, whoops, one too many backs. The only definition I see is the non-physical part of a person, which is the seat of emotions and character, the soul. We know that the seat of emotions and character is the brain, so that's physical. I don't know what a soul is either. So this definition does nothing for me, and I don't think it's the definition you're using. So I need a testable definition of spirit.
No, you don't. You can read what you're reading.
I just read it. It's like that does me no good for
No,
understanding
you
what a
you
spirit
didn't
is.
read it. You read headlines.
No, that's the literal definition.
I got a feeling you're a Democrat too. You just read the headlines, right?
I'm reading the literal definition of spirit.
No. Don't stutter.
Yeah,
Read
here it
it.
is. I am reading it. We can go to Merriam-Webster's. That's from the Oxford languages. We can go to the Merriam-Webster site.
No, we're
And
not
we
looking
can
at
go
dictionaries. Dictionaries
spirit,
aren't telling you
one, an
scientific
animating or vital
determination.
principle held to give life to physical organism, a supernatural being or essence such as Holy Spirit, soul, sense, and often malevolent being that is bodiless but can become visible, malevolent being that enters and possesses a human being. That's 2A through D. 3, temper or disposition of mind or outlook. None of this helps me to understand anything about what spirit is, and none of it is testable. So again, what's your definition and what are you doing? And what's your evidence?
What's my evidence?
That spirit exists. And
Why
don't
wouldn't
say the
it?
Bible. Don't say the Bible, because I don't accept the Bible as anything more than a literary work. So you've got, if you want me to accept the Bible's definition of a spirit, you need to give me some reason to believe that the Bible is more than just another literary work.
You accept it as a literary work.
Yes, the same way I accept all science fiction and fantasy books as literary works. Yes, it's in that same category.
Do you accept liberalism of fear, which is taught in schools and political science?
That has absolutely nothing to do with the topic. So let's stay on topic.
Well, I mean,
Can
it's
you
a
prove that
book.
your God exists?
Do you accept it?
That it's a literary work, no different than any other work of fiction. Yes.
Different than no other book of fiction.
Mm-hmm.
But it's used to educate our minds.
Some people use it to educate their minds, and I would say
Well,
they
I mean,
got miseducated. Because if you
go to
believe
it-
that spirits exist and you have no evidence for it, and the only evidence you have is from a book that you think defines it, and I point to you other religious books where other religious people will disagree with your definition of spirit.
What is it taught
Where
by
are we?
books? What is
What?
it taught by books?
That has absolutely nothing to do with it, because if we're talking about science,
No,
all
you're
science
picking
books
out-
are based on evidence, right? And they're based on the experiments and the generally accepted science. Math books are based on the mathematical proofs, right? History books are based on archaeological evidence and stories and other actual evidence. So just because I'm throwing out the Bible doesn't mean you get to throw out everything, because I'm giving the Bible the same credence that I give any other literary work.
So you accept liberalism of fear that was written 100 years ago that said
I have no
liberals.
idea what the liberalism of fear is, and I don't really care what it is, because it has nothing to do with whether or not there's a God and whether or not you believe there's a God. So quit trying to change the subject. It's not going to happen.
So you live in denial.
No. I
You
live
say-
in a world,
you
that-
say-
world
you say you
confounded by evidence. You can't
you
come up with any
dismiss-
evidence other than the book. There's some literary work that you happen to give more credence to than you probably should.
You dismiss the Bible, but you accept other literary works, is what you're saying.
But I don't accept them as true. The Dresden Files isn't true. The Hobbit isn't true. They're literary works, right? Dresden Files happens to get some things about our world correct, but it doesn't mean that there's a Harry Dresden that lives in Chicago, right? That's all it is.
I mean books that are taught in universities to educate young minds.
The Bible is taught in religion classes for universities, yes, but it's not taught to teach people how to breed goats that have stripes. It's not taught on how the germ theory of disease doesn't come from the Bible, right? Evolution doesn't come from the Bible. Quantum mechanics doesn't come from the Bible.
Evolution doesn't come from anything but theories.
No, well, theories are the highest form of truth that science has, other than laws. Laws and theories being the same. So when you say that, you're misusing the word theory in the scientific sense. In the colloquial sense, you could be sort of kind of right. But
Prove
not the
evolution.
scientific. Oh, sure.
Prove
that's
evolution.
That's super easy. So the definition of evolution is the change in allele frequency over time in a population. Alleles are genes, and an allele is all of the genes that control a specific aspect of a body plan. For instance, eye color. So all the genes that cover eye color are one allele. So if you're going to deny evolution exists, you have to deny genes exist.
What law of science does evolution break?
None.
Biogenesis.
Abiogenesis. No, it doesn't. Abiogenesis is what happens before evolution.
Only life can create life.
And your evidence for that is what?
You have no evidence that it happens any other way.
Yeah, abiogenesis is the best evidence we have for what actually how life got started.
And it's not abiogenesis. Abiogenesis is not a law of science.
I
Biogenesis is
didn't
a law
say
of science.
abiogenesis was a law of science, and biogenesis isn't a law either. Abiogenesis is the study of how biology got started.
It's a theory.
It's a hypothesis. Abiogenesis is a
Biogenesis,
hypothesis, not a theory.
biogenesis has evidence. We've
No, it
never
doesn't.
seen life come from other than life.
Black swan fallacy.
BS, man.
No, it's
There's
not.
never been
We never.
there's
We,
never
we
been
there were
life that
people who
wasn't.
thought that there could not possibly be black swans until they found black swans. That's all you're saying.
I mean, man, you reaching hard like Stretch Armstrong.
No, calling a fallacy is not stretching at all.
Only life can create life. We've never seen it happen any other way. There's
A
no
black swan
evidence that it
fallacy.
can happen any other way.
Yeah, there is. There are Miller experiments. There's all kinds of stuff that proves it. The fundamental chemicals of life are abundant. They exist on asteroids. So
There are
yeah.
none. There is no evidence that anything that wasn't alive came alive.
Yes, abiogenesis has a ton of evidence for that fact. We don't have
There is
all
zero
of the
evidence of that,
pathways,
sir.
but what we do know about abiogenesis is that there are enough pathways that one of them is going to work, and it just needs some more time. And abiogenesis is a relatively young science, but you're just repeating your claims doesn't prove any of them.
When are they going to prove it?
When they get enough evidence to do so, and they're working on it. It's also
My
a small
claim is
field.
My claim is elephants came from horses.
What's your evidence of that?
The same as abiogenesis.
No, not even close. You pulling something out of your ass is not the same thing as abiogenesis. I would highly suggest going to Google Scholar and putting in abiogenesis and go actually study the chemistry for all of it. And then Professor Dave on YouTube's got some great stuff on it as well, where he actually debates poor James Tour and just kicks him all over the stage and turns him into a raving lunatic. But yeah, no, you just pulled the elephants comes from horses thing out of your ass. Abiogenesis is based on chemistry and science. So, and you saying otherwise doesn't make it so.
No,
So anyway, let's get back to the. Do you have any evidence for God that doesn't come from the Bible? Do you have any evidence for spirit that doesn't come from the Bible?
Any evidence of God that doesn't come from the Bible?
Yes.
You kind of got me hung up.
Yeah, I kind of figured that. All right. Hey, thanks so much, anonymous user. I appreciate it. It was a fun conversation. If you do come up with some evidence for God, come back.
But
Thanks so
listen,
much.
I will say this to you. Abiogenesis isn't science, brother. Only life can create life.
Yeah, so no, that's not true. All right. Let's see what else we got. Anyone else want to come up? Burden of proof, yes. I have proven three times since I've started this live that there are no gods. And so far, 2 callers have not been able to prove that spirits exist. Going to the dictionary doesn't help. A dictionary definition: animating or vital principle held to give life to physical organisms. Right. Amir Top is up next. Hello, Amir. When you finish spinning and actually come up. Spinning. Amir, I did accept, but it doesn't look like it connected. You can try again. And folks, do share my stream. I appreciate it. Appreciate the roses from somebody whose name I can't read. It looks like it might be a Middle Eastern language, but I could be completely wrong. I am not a language expert by any stretch of the imagination. And hey, Jamie, thanks for becoming a super fan. I appreciate that as well. That happened a while ago, and I just remembered I hadn't thanked you for it. Ed, you want to come up and talk about demon possession? I have actually debated a demonologist, and it did not go well. I forget which one it was, but I did. Or are you asking Ed, or are you asking someone else about demon possession? If you think demon possession is true, let's have that conversation. Oh, no, I don't think demon possession is a thing, as I don't accept that the supernatural exists, which means demons and gods and all the rest of it also don't exist. Is it all psychosis? Could be. Yeah, I just realized that when I realized it said number 2 top gifter there, and I was like, oh, wait, he's probably an atheist, or he's a theist who enjoys, who's a bit of a masochist. So. But yeah, shoot, I wish I could remember what this guy's name was. He's a rather famous demonologist. He's also a psychologist, Harvard trained, which was really, really weird to me. Harvard psychologist, demon. And I actually read the book. Maybe. I don't want to mention his name till I know that I am sure. That I know what the guy is, because I don't want to give the wrong information if I could possibly avoid it. Oh. Okay, so the book was Demonic Foes by Richard Gallagher. 25 years, hold on. My 25 years as a psychologist investigating possessions, diabolic attacks, and the paranormal. I was supposed to be a debate on whether God existed, and he started mentioning demons and that he was a demonologist, and I found that far more entertaining than the debate. It is an interesting book. It is all stories, and he applies none of his scientific training as a psychologist to any of the stories, which I think is interesting. So, well, none. Thank you for following me. I appreciate it. Spirnophice is the scariest spirit. Yeah. Oh. Yeah, call me when people start levitating. So, anybody else want to come up and talk? We don't have to talk about by any of the problems. We can talk about anything you want. That's probably better than me just kind of rambling on forever and ever. And do share the stream. I appreciate it. I appreciate the roses and the gifts and the other stuff you guys are giving me. I appreciate that too. Some more of that would be nice as well. Does anybody know how I could get the URL to my own TikTok live? Background opacity. Let's do that. There we go. Hello, Electric Space Potato. Oops. Looks like he bounced out. Yeah, there are a few. The demonic guy, the blurb is a psychiatrist documents 25 years investigating demonic possessions, from a woman speaking unknown languages to a petite person throwing a 200-pound deacon, transforming from skeptic to believer. And I did not find anything he said to be anything more than stories. He didn't witness any of the supernatural stuff except the languages, and he took no opportunity and did no investigation to figure out how she knew that. You can put a URL. Yeah, I'm looking for a URL to share to my social media, and say, hey, come on over. There we go. Hello, and I don't know your name because I cannot read whatever your language it
Majid.
is. Pardon?
Majid, it's Arabic. It
Majid?
means glorious.
Okay, Majid. So what do you want to
Jim,
talk about?
I'm a big fan.
Thank you.
Since TV and atheist community of Austin, I've been a follower for a while.
Well, fantastic.
How
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Yeah. I'd like to speak about the way things are going in our country today.
You mean how badly they're going?
Any thoughts? Yeah.
I have lots of them. It's the rot starts at the top. I was a Republican for many years. I was a Reagan Republican. And as I became more atheist, I became less Republican. And I don't understand what these people are doing or why they're doing it. It makes no sense. It is just power. I think all of them believe, but I don't know what they believe in, because I don't see how we're going to stop SNAP benefits and charity being a fundamental part of Christianity to jive. I don't see how any of it jives with any form of Christianity. And it's just very scary. I keep wondering if I'm going to leave the country or not. Part of me says stay, part of me says go. It's not worth it. But then I look at it and go, Trump's approval ratings are down at 37% today.
Yeah, I heard that.
So he's not getting anywhere with anybody. And, when Marjorie Taylor Greene starts making sense, there's a problem.
Yeah. Charlie Kirk was making sense. What's his name? A lot of people who didn't make sense before started making sense. Tucker Carlson, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, I mean,
we all drank that Kool-Aid. I mean, the millions and millions of dollars that they spend on creating that Kool-Aid, we all drank the Kool-Aid.
A large numbers, enough of us did to get him voted in. But I think the mistake was letting Biden run. And I think that's a mistake the Democrat Party made with Hillary, too. I think both times they could have fielded somebody better. And they didn't, because it was their time. Same with Biden. It was Biden's time. Biden had put in his dues, and so it was his turn to run. And the Democrats just need to start doing that. But I think the Democrats also need to listen to their base more.
Democrats need to distance themselves from the corporations, because there is a socialist side to the Democratic Party, and it seems like from a Republican you're on the borderline of socialism, lurking around, checking out the merchandise. It is good to feed children at school. It is good to give mothers that. It's not a punishment for the child that their parents are idiots and cannot feed them. We have to provide.
It's not even sometimes the parents' fault that they can't, right? Bad things happen to good people all the time. And there are folks who don't have the brain power to do more than lower paying jobs, because we're not just an industrial society now, we're an information society, and so there are people that are going to get left behind because they don't have the skills, or the capability to live in this society, and they shouldn't be punished because of that. Everybody has a fundamental right to live.
Especially if you're not computer literate, I think in the next 10 years, you're going to be the minority. I don't care what your color or beliefs are.
Oh yeah,
If you're not literate, I mean, we
that's
were in
already
Discord.
true.
We were on
That's already
Discord. We
true.
went to social media. Now it's the word is TikTok. Tomorrow it's going to be another forum.
hmm
I really I agree with the thought that those who do not change are doomed to live in the past, to look for fallacious arguments to.
Yeah.
But yes, strange that you thought about living in another country. I'm a New Yorker, and I wouldn't. I would just stay and make this one better. I left the Middle East in my teenage, and I think I made a home here, and I want to defend it.
Yeah. That's a part of me too, but also there's a part of me that says that if we were so far gone that we elected a authoritarian fascist like Trump, that's a problem. But I also look at, how did he get elected? And I think he got elected because his opponents made mistakes. I think he got elected because he's a popularist. And now people are finding out that the things that he said aren't true. You have farmers who voted for him in droves because they thought he would save farming, and his tariffs have killed it. Now, his Chinese deal is actually less than what the Chinese were actually going to buy, assuming the Chinese do it. So, and I don't know that they did, because they did the same thing to Clinton. Clinton came back with said he had a deal with the Chinese, and they never got around to doing it. So, yes, user tariffs are hurting our farmers because the Chinese decided to go somewhere else and buy their soybeans from Argentina, along with other goods from other countries. And the same thing with Canada is finding that they don't have to sell everything to us; they can sell things to other countries. So yes, those are just facts. You can go look them up. You're laughing at them doesn't change them. But then you have a problem with facts. We already knew that.
We actually are in a place where we're going back in years, in goodwill, in we're suspect everywhere in the world. Before we bail out Argentina in that theatrical, ridiculous way that it happened, the Chinese were there on the ground. The Chinese are not letting an inch go of influence, of soft power. They're not letting an inch go
Yeah.
without a fight.
And they have been building infrastructure that all roads lead
Yeah,
to
they're
China
Silk
for
Roads all over
decades,
Africa.
and we haven't done it. So, and that's a problem, and we have done nothing about it other than go, you really should make a deal with them. It's going to be bad for you. So yeah, so China goes and buys soybeans from Argentina, and then Trump gives Argentina either 20 billion or 40 billion, depending on who you talk to. For what? I don't know. That makes no
You said
sense.
because they don't have nothing. They cannot pay a government to function. That's what is said, that they failed, their currency failed to a point where they had to get a cash injection from somewhere, and Trump is a fan of dictators, so he's a fan of Milei, the Argentinian president.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean,
There is no
that's what it
doubt
comes
that,
down to.
yeah, he likes strongmen, he likes fascists, he likes populists who talk a lot of shit without evidence, without even thought. I mean, these people do not filter, and we are exposed to their racism and misogyny and hatred towards minority every day, every day.
Yeah, and that's a problem too. I mean, Trump hates all the people that the people who support him hate, and I think that's what it comes. That last 37% that still approve of him, that's basically why they approve of him, is because he hates the people that they hate. And he's committing murder on the high seas. They like that. They like the fact that the people they don't like are getting beat up and assaulted, even if they are citizens of this country. That he's now defying the court order on providing SNAP benefits. So all of that is all problematic. There's just
And
yeah.
and there's such a platoon, no, bigger than a platoon, a brigade of brown nosers around him that worship our dear leader. It's sickening and upsetting, really.
Yeah, I agree. It is. There are no adults in the room. His first term, at least, he had some adults in the room, some people that would tell him no. Granted, he went through them like a hot knife through butter, but that doesn't change the fact that he's an idiot.
And whoever worked with him says it. He's an idiot. He's a moron.
Well, come on, nuking a hurricane? Who the fuck think that's a good idea, right? Anybody who understands anything about how nuclear weapons work or studied, even just high school history about the results of the testing we did in White Sands and at the Bikini Atoll,
Yeah.
even
And
if it
you're
would have
looking
worked,
at
it would be a
hundreds of
bad idea.
years.
Yeah.
You're looking at half-lives of hundreds of years. The fallout is. I do not know. Where did he want to do that
Well,
thing?
hurricanes. So they're the Atlantic hurricanes.
And in the Caribbean, he's committing war crimes.
Yep.
I mean,
Crimes
different
against
civilian
humanity.
laws
Yeah.
that are not.
Extrajudicial killings is not a good look. So
Yeah. So we're thugs too. There is no difference morally between us and the Somalis that jump on tourist boats and take them hostages.
yeah.
We're just killing
Well,
people.
there
We don't
is
know
a
what's on
difference. We have better weapon systems than they do, and we have aircraft carriers.
Exactly. Exactly. A terrorist is a guy with a knife. Who kills a couple of people. But if they have a joystick and they're killing million and poisoning, no, that's not a killer. That's a commando.
That's somebody carrying out U.S. policy. Yeah, and the
Yes.
policy is out of thuggery. Yeah, I agree.
But I mean, slaughtering somebody with a knife, which I see on video and all that propaganda, is not as gruesome as exploding bodies in a little school. When a father collects half of their child, still alive in pain, and dies in their hands, I do not think that father is going to be your friend, ever.
No. That's something I don't think that they don't understand is that you end up, indiscriminate killing by any state, whether it's Israel or the United States or Russia, is going to create enemies. It's not going to solve any problems. But people want to believe the guy who thought, yeah, exactly, Skiz Monkey. People want to think that the guy who thought ingesting bleach is a good idea is got ideas worth listening to. He doesn't.
Well, he has an uncle from Harvard.
Well, that doesn't mean he's smart. I think he does have an uncle at Harvard, or had an uncle at Harvard.
Yeah, a doctor.
But
He brags about that a lot.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean he's smart. I mean, he can barely pass a cognitive exam.
Yeah, yeah. And he's challenging. I don't remember who he's challenged that they cannot take the same exam.
Oh, everybody.
Counting
Everybody he doesn't like, especially women. Especially women and women of color. So he's picked on AOC and Crockett and all the rest of it, all the rest of the women of color on the Democrat side, because he has so little understanding of what's going on around him. Did you see that video of the Japanese prime minister having to lead him around the room and his saluting at random intervals for some reason?
You look like a dog show trainer, handler.
There is a really good YouTube video of somebody who grabbed the audio from or created the audio for exactly that as she's leading him around, and it is
Dog show.
yeah, it's the dog show stuff. It's just absolutely hysterical. It's wonderful. But yeah,
The whole thing has become a dog and pony show.
well, yeah. I mean, when he doesn't understand what's going on. So fundamentally, you could. I don't think he's even running the country. I think he's, he brought to the who did the interview recently? NBC, ABC, CBS, one of the big three, did an interview with him, and he brought a printout of his X account to prove that he had done 8 peace treaties to include 2 countries that could not possibly be at war with each other because they don't share a border and they don't have a navy.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is just absolutely hysterical.
In my workspace, I have a picture of him holding a big storm map, and it's
Oh,
corrected
yeah.
with a Sharpie. I haven't
That
forgotten that
Sharpie
one.
Gate. Oh my God, I should have done it for everybody. Should have done it for everybody.
January 6th is the one that is, I don't know, unless you are a Christian holding to no evidence but what your pastor told you. I do not think that you could, in good conscience, vote for this man again.
Well, at least 37% of them will. And that number keeps falling. So, and it's falling fast. It was like 6 months ago, it was 6 points higher. So he's losing almost a point a month. I think there'll be a rock bottom that's at 20%. I hope it goes to 0.
Zero means he's been removed already. Zero means that even the 100 men in the Senate would have indicted and found him guilty of
We
the
could
so
only
many.
hope. Yeah, we can only hope that he actually goes to jail, that he
I
actually
hope
gets.
I hope the people get their money back too, because he fleeced a lot of people of their money.
Yeah, but he doesn't. Well, he's got it now. I mean, his grifting.
Billionaire now, if you had a doubt before, he's a
Yeah.
billionaire from crypto.
Yeah, from crypto. Hey, can you
Yeah.
believe what he said today? That he didn't know that the guy, the crypto guy, that he pardoned.
Yes. Yes.
That is just absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely
I mean-
ridiculous.
I mean, if you contribute a certain amount of money, it's the price of a certain amount of flexibility or a leeway or a service that you can acquire from this White House.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. Very transactional, very transparently corrupt.
Yeah. Hey, just real quick, anybody, if you guys, we're just chatting because I think chatting is more entertaining than just me monologuing. But if there is a Christian out there that hasn't already been kicked off, then that I haven't already hung up on, then be more than happy to take and talk about anything you want to talk about. So just keep that in mind as we continue to chat about politics. So
So, Jim, what do you think about non-theistic Satanism?
I think they're the funniest people on the planet.
I love us. I love
Yeah,
us.
TST is just awesome.
Yeah.
and they're doing. I mean,
And their heart is in the right place. You can look it from their lawsuits, from their principles. Their heart is in the right place.
well, and they use the same laws that the Christians have been put in power to point out just how bad the laws are, and that's always awesome, making fun of people in power that way. And it's the same thing. I mean, I don't think that the folks in Portland took a page out of the TST playbook, but I mean, they both are playing from the same playbook of just making a mockery of everything that that Trump is doing and ICE
There
is
is
doing.
nothing
It's
left to
absolutely
respect.
hysterical.
There is nothing left to respect. So mockery is all they got left.
Well, and it's better than doing what Trump wants them to do, right? Trump is trying to say, hey, all these people are violent, so he can excuse using violence and ramping up the violence. And they're just refusing to take the bait. And I hope that's what they continue. Everybody continues to do is don't give them a reason, excuse me, to take to ramp up the violence. And the bottom line is, there are probably people in the military, hopefully not many, who would take his orders to go invade a U.S. city
And
go
cause
do it.
damage.
Right, and cause some damage. And he said it on his interview recently that he could, if he wanted to, invoke the Insurrection Act. I don't even think he's read the Insurrection Act. I think somebody gave it to him as a talking point.
I don't
So
think that he realizes that the Supreme Court addressed that issue and that he's shit out of luck.
yeah,
The Insurrection Act has been, there is no insurrection in this country.
right.
If there is anything similar to it, he's the one who's on at the head of it, at the helm.
Yeah,
He's the
well,
one who
January
created
6th, January 6th was an insurrection.
Yeah.
And he could have done it then, and he didn't. He just supported them. So
And these people were not martyrs or hostages. They were people who broke the law. They thought they could. They thought that they were commanded by the president. But thinking is not an alibi. Thinking that you're doing the right thing when you're not is still punishable by law.
yeah, threatening to hang Pence. How many officers were hurt? Police
Would have.
officers were hurt.
Or died.
Or
There's a
di-
couple
and
that
one, and at least one died. Yeah, those casualties are real. So
and one killed himself. There was that guy who shot himself with his service weapon.
yeah, because of all the crap he took for being there that day and doing his job. Those are all things that yeah. But yeah, and all this goes back to the fundamentals of beliefs inform actions, actions have consequences, and people not reading their Bible. Charity starts at home. So, user 15782, definition resisting arrest is insurrection? No, it's not. You're on drugs. Please stop smoking them. They're not good for you. You're completely ridiculous. You haven't stopped being ridiculous. You're just laughable. Yeah, I know enough about the law that I don't even have to look it up. So anyway, in fact, I know enough about the law to know that it's not federal. And if it's not federal, then you've got 50 states laws to go and quote and prove it.
What?
Yeah.
What a
Resisting arrest.
disappointment.
Yeah,
What a disappointment is people in power, real power, Jim. I mean, what a disappointment it is that you realize that most people in power are deviant and in a sick
just human
like
beings, yeah.
children and human trafficking and all kinds of ugly things that are attributed to these people. And corporate media changing the narrative right away. I mean, Matt Gaetz had 17-year-old whom he transported to the Caribbean or something, or
Yeah.
and
The Epstein
this
files need to be released, and I don't care who's in them. Release them
he
all.
bailed out. I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if even Hillary was in it. I mean,
I
I
wouldn't
do not.
care.
Yeah,
Prosecute her too.
yeah. But he definitely is in there, and they cannot hide it anymore. I mean, with somebody like Congressman Green joining the call for the release of the files, Epstein files, I do not know if there is any doubt that many in Congress and the Senate are very receptive to justifying what they're going to do to him next.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and that's the thing that gets me about these conservatives too. Who go, well, Clinton's on it, well, and they seem to be very shocked that the response good. Prosecute him too, and I don't understand why. It doesn't matter who's on it. But then again, I don't see people on the left holding left-wing politicians to the same level of worship as the right does to Trump, and that just. And again, that seems really weird because the Bible is very specific about things like that you shouldn't do it, and yet they do.
But Bernie was a deity in some circles. I mean, it's an intellectual circle. But Bernie was still has
No,
following.
Bernie never. I mean, Bernie was well respected, but I wouldn't say he's had the same worship support that Trump does. I don't think there are too many people who were thinking, Bernie is right on everything. But I could be wrong. There may be some supporters who are just diehard fans, but definitely not to the extent that the
I'm a
Trump is.
Bernie guy, and I voted for Mamdani. I live in Manhattan, so
Yeah,
he's
good. I really hope Mamdani gets it.
well,
think
it's
it'll
going
be
to be a
really
big indictment of the old guard. Mamdani's election would be, and
Yeah.
we'll know in an hour. We'll know at 9. I mean, in 2 hours.
Yeah.
We'll know. But yes, I think he will win. He's young. He's 33. The
Yeah.
Jesus age.
And he's an out democratic socialist, which is good. And no user, you don't know
I
what a
live in.
socialist is, you don't know what a communist is, and you don't know what a democratic socialist is. So just leave your fingers off the keyboard. You'll appear far more intelligent by doing that. But yeah,
I live
I
in Manhattan. I have a rent stabilized apartment, and I wish that it does not go off $120 every month, every year. I mean, or every renewal.
right.
There are things that he's speaking about that speaks to me as a resident of New York City, and we're always leaning socialist, but and Trump is not sending troops to New York like he's doing in Chicago and Portland and everywhere
Well,
else.
he's not sending them to, I live in Alabama, and there are 3 cities here in Alabama that have higher crime rates by far than Chicago or Los Angeles or Portland.
Birmingham,
Yep.
probably.
Birmingham, Mobile, and Montgomery.
Yeah, and Montgomery is a county or a town or city?
Town. Montgomery,
Yeah,
Alabama is the capital, if I remember correctly. I
yeah.
just live here. I try not to get involved in the politics around here.
Yeah, you can get shot.
Without a doubt.
These dudes don't fuck around. And is weed legal in Alabama?
I think it is medicinal.
Medicinal is not enough.
Medical
But
THC
I
is
hear that
legal through the medical cannabis program, but recreational is not.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, not visiting Alabama anytime soon. I smoke every day.
Yeah, it would not be good.
I wouldn't be able to cope without weed, man. Believe me. I do not know how to do it, but Alabama, sorry.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't
I
know.
just mean it's more expensive here. So
Yeah, that means it's, yeah. Oh, now I can get weed very cheap from the same dealer that used to sell me when it was illegal.
oh,
It's
that's
funny.
cool.
Yeah, he sells them by the ounce.
Awesome. I approve of small business, much more so than large business.
Yeah.
I wish we
Do
would
you know
do
that
more
you
to
can?
curtail large businesses and them acquiring other businesses.
Yeah, there is going to be big weed like big pharma because there is a lot of money being generated in the legal states that it's not
Right.
funny anymore.
Well, so part of the problem you have is that banks that cross state lines are afraid to touch it. So weed has a cash problem of where do you put the cash that's safe. And so, yeah, that's a problem right now, which is why we need something at the federal level to say that, yeah, that weed's okay and let the states deal with it. So,
Well, but then the federal government would have to loosen their standards and admit that this income that is coming from cannabis is a legitimate income and that could be used within the federal government.
yeah, tax it. You'll get a lot of money out of it. I think that
Like
you
tobacco,
have a
it's
right to
like
do what you
tobacco
want with
now.
your body as long as it doesn't affect other people. And so if you want to do any of the drugs, go ahead and do that as long as it doesn't affect anybody else. So don't do drugs and drive. Don't do
I
drugs in
don't.
places that'll affect other people. But other than that, you know,
I like these. So my next one is gonna be ayahuasca
yeah,
in my journey
I've heard some things about that.
on both ways, right?
Yeah.
Good and bad.
Well, my
Yeah.
profession sometimes requires me to have a security clearance, so I am
Cannot partake.
reluctant to. Yeah, if I can make more of my money from TikTok and YouTube and doing this atheist advocacy thing full time, then I will worry about it. I won't have to worry about it as much. So
You have on social media the income is not that. I do not. I did not realize that it's something that you to look into. I mean, I get a few roses here and there, but do you think
yeah,
that could a side gig?
I know a few people who are doing it as side hustles. I know Matt's a full-time activist, Matt Delahunty. Although he's got a
I
thriving
like
business
that.
selling snakes now. So, I'm doing some other things as well. But yeah, I think I would like to be able to do this because I enjoy having actual conversations
Yeah.
with people, about stuff. And especially the religion question, because I see that as being a
Let me
fundamental
host you.
problem.
Let me host you one day in an Arabic
Absolutely.
forum. We talk.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I would love to.
I'm
Yeah.
I'm the Imam of the Arabic Satanic Temple.
That's
We still
awesome.
make you laugh. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
We still make.
I love that. That is awesome. I signed up to be a member a long time ago, but I don't actually attend with anybody. When I was in Austin, I was with doing things with the ACA. I should see if there's a local group
It's a
here.
mystique. Like we're few. We're a happy few. We band of brothers. Hamlet. But it's really the mystique of it all. They think that we have the power of Satan, and it's enough because they are Catholic that believe literally in evil spirits and
Almost Christians do.
witches. Yes, and witches and all kinds of crap. So to bring this to the mockery of the third grade level would show the hypocrisy. I'm hoping it would show the hypocrisy. I mean,
Well,
having Virgin Mary in a porno is our thing, but it's
well,
they
so
really
is
do.
the after school Satan program, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Uh,
To just plant a seed of critical thinking within children at the time that they
well,
think that the priest's penis is a part of the clergy's instruments.
well, just I was just looking at the acronym for after school Satans, right?
Hmm.
It's ASS. It's
That's
brilliant.
us.
Uh, the Menstruating with Satan program is incredibly well named. But yeah, they just do a really
I
good
bought
job of mocking
I
religion.
personally bought 2 abortions. They were like three or $400 each, but they take somebody from a state like yours and bring her to New York
Hmm.
and pay for a hotel and the procedure. And a lot of doctors volunteer to reduce the procedure.
Yeah.
So it's an actual movement. I mean, they are waking us up. And I'm not
Yeah.
speaking about the left or the Democrat. I'm speaking about people who think. They are waking us up.
Yeah, they are causing us to think more and to realize that we are losing freedoms that we had.
We
Right to
we did
control
lose
our own
freedom.
bodies is a freedom we should all have. Enforcing women to carry a child is not allowing them to have a control of their own bodies,
Can you
pretty much.
force a father? Can you force a man who's a father to donate 1 pint of blood to save his son?
Nope.
You
Nope.
cannot, because you have no dominion over a man's body. But you can subjugate a woman to 9 months of life support to the idea of a being, not a being, because under their funny gods laws, actually, you're not a person until you lived for a month. People died of bacterial and viral infection at birth. So Elohim says that we have to wait a month to see if that's going to become a person and have a spirit or not. You
Yeah.
do know that part.
Yeah.
So
Just yeah. Okay. I was just trying to figure out how to find. I wanted to go on my other social media platforms and advertise and try to get some more Christians to come up here and actually have a conversation.
From being involved with Middle Eastern people
Uh-huh.
and being exposed to the descendants of the Sumerians and the Chaldeans and mostly the Semites in this area and their religions and what they believed in and everything, I can tell you with certainty that a Jesus purported to be crucified 2,000 years ago, who lived in Lebanon and spoke Aramaic, did not directly have a connection with Paul of Tarsus, which is a city in southern Turkey. And when that Paul, according to what he wrote in Romans, when that Paul decided to go back and meet with Peter, we do not know if that Peter was actually the Peter, follower of Jesus Christ, or another Peter, one of the Kahana class, the priesthood class in the temple. They turned him to the Romans, who later executed him in Rome, I guess by crucifixion. So I do not see a connection between Jesus, Lebanese guy, did not speak Hebrew. He spoke in Aramaic, and Paul of Tarsus, Saul, who was
Yeah.
known as Saul because Paul means a person who
Well,
is small. or a traitor.
Most Christians admit that Paul never met the living Christ, and didn't know the living Christ, and his trek to go talk to Peter was about minor little things, mostly about whether or not you should
Money.
bring Gentiles
It was
But
no, it was about money really, because
probably
what he did with Hananiah and Sapphira and stealing their the money that they collected from their farm plot is definitely. I mean, he poisoned them, took their lives. He definitely is a criminal and a psychopath. Temporal lobe epilepsy. If you look at the page in Wikipedia, I don't know if that's still up or not. Notable personalities who had that kind of illness was Paul of Tarsus. So he did have hallucinations, both visuals and auditory,
Oh yeah.
and I do not believe that he had inside knowledge of anything that happened around Jesus about 50 years earlier.
Yeah, probably not. Whatever he had. And honestly, I think that it's Paul's writings that created the Christianity that we have today. I think it really should be called Paulianity, but that's a whole different topic for biblical scholars, of which I am not
But
one to have. But
if you did have an opinion or a conclusion about a Pauline Christianity versus Aramaic Christianity, which is the mother of the Arabic language, wouldn't you say that it's more logical that the people from that area who spoke those languages, who had the books of reading, the Qaraut, which what the word Quran came from, are closer to what Jesus would potentially have said than Paul, the Turkish guy who spoke a completely different language?
I have no idea. I mean, part of the problem was you didn't have somebody running around writing down everything Jesus said. And so you have an
And when
oral
they copied these
tradition.
books, they made mistakes and they made intentional corrections, and so yeah, we
Yeah.
cannot trust the books from that period of time. They were
Well,
not
we've got
honest
to be
people.
careful about how we trust them, right? So when you can read like the Noetic flood and get at least two different stories out of it, that literally are mixed in line for line, there's a problem. You have two different Genesis stories that have to be reconciled, and you can't read the book literally and reconcile them both. And so the only people who read the Bible literally are atheists. Everyone else has got to interpret it, including theists, Christians who think that they are biblical literalists. They aren't. Otherwise, they have
So
to admit they haven't. Yeah.
therefore, God created us to make the faithful read the fucking Bible. That's
If
we're
we
created
we
for a
have a purpose
purpose.
from God, yeah, then we definitely have a.
We
Would
read it
definitely
for
be
them
yeah.
because they don't want to fucking read it.
So,
Yeah,
folks,
they don't want to
Mazda and
read
I
it.
are just having a conversation. I think I'd rather have a conversation with a Christian, or you can come up and join the conversation and just kind of shoot the breeze with us until we get someone who wants to actually defend their God. That I haven't already just kind of kicked out because their conversations weren't going anywhere. But anyway, welcome, Estefania. So, anyway, 50 joined. And he followed me. Thank you for following. Thank you for the roses and the gifts. Appreciate it. It would be nice to have some more of those, but tell you, don't give more than you can afford. And share the live. I'd appreciate that too. That would be kind of awesome as well. Well, folks, I have been doing this for 2 hours and 40 minutes, and I think my voice is actually going. I had a little bit of trouble talking there. Folks popping in and out. So anyway, I think I'm going to go ahead and end the live. I may be back later tonight. We'll see how it goes. I need to give my voice a bit of a rest. So I will talk to you folks later. Don't have too much fun. And remember that thinking critically is a skill, and you can always get better at it. And we should always try. Bye-bye.